Ever heard of Kurseong? They call it the land of white orchids, a place the British once called their summer paradise. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? But Kurseong keeps secrets, especially the ones buried in the forest behind a place called Dow Hill. Let me tell you what the locals are too afraid to say aloud. Back in the late 1800s, the British carved out little chunks of the Himalayas to escape the punishing heat of Calcutta. They built homes, churches, sanatoriums, and even schools. One of them was Dow Hill Boarding School for Girls, founded in 1879, and up the road was Victoria Boys High School. Together they sat perched among towering pines on the edge of a dark, sprawling forest. It was picturesque, proper, prim. But it didn't take long before the whispers began. Students started going missing. Teachers reported footsteps in locked hallways. And at night, even now, some say you can hear a child laughing alone. Now here's where it gets chilling. The legend speaks of a boy around 12 in a vintage school uniform, like knee-length shorts, grey blazer, polished black shoes, and he appears on the trail behind Dow Hill. Sometimes in broad daylight, sometimes in the fog. But no matter when, he never has a head. Not slumped, not hanging, just gone. Like it was never there to begin with. The first recorded encounter came from a woodcutter in the early 1900s. He was collecting logs just past the school grounds when he saw the boy walking silently through the trees. At first he thought he was lost. Then he noticed it. The neat collar, the empty space above it, and the unnatural way the body seemed to glide more than walk. The man dropped his axe and never set foot in those woods again. This encounter was written down by a Christian missionary, Father McGregor, stationed in Darjeeling in 1905. The original journal is still archived in the Darjeeling Mission Library. Now, Dow Hill School is still standing today. Red brick, white window frames. But ask anyone who's worked there long enough, and they'll tell you it's not just the woods that are haunted. One retired teacher confessed in an interview that she heard footsteps every night after closing, pacing up and down the main corridor. But when she went to check, nothing. Other staff have seen shadows flit across classroom walls, books pulled off shelves by invisible hands. Once a teacher locked the door to the library only to find it wide open the next morning, and a book flipped open on the floor. Guess what page it was on? Decapitation rituals in British India. That story was reported by a local journalist in the 2009. Between Dow Hill and the Victoria Boys High, there's a narrow forest path. Kids walk it every day, but the locals call it Death Road. In 1983, a 13-year-old named Bijoy Rai went missing while walking home. He was last seen crossing the pine clearing around 3:45 p.m. Police found his bag 2 days later, shoes perfectly placed side by side, but no blood, no body. No footprints leaving the swing. His file is still open but unsolved. Since then, dozens of children have claimed to see a floating boy or hear someone calling their name from the forest. One girl reported seeing the headless figure stare at her, even without a face. She fainted. You see, Kurseong's pine forests aren't just scenic, they're old, dense, watchful. The trees bend ever so slightly toward the trail, the moss grows too thick, and sometimes the wind sounds like breathing. Even forest rangers have refused to patrol at night. Some claimed they heard footsteps matching their own, as if something was copying them. In 2012, a paranormal team from Kolkata visited the place, and they had brought EMF meters, temperature gauges, and voice recorders. And what they captured was a drop in temperature by around 12 degrees Celsius in under 5 seconds. Whispers in Bengali and English saying, "Help,
Help
and
me.
run."
Please help me.
And at around 3 a.m., a child's giggle right behind the mic. They left that morning and never went back. Some say the Headless Boy was real, a child who died in a tragic accident, beheaded by a carriage wheel. Others believe he was murdered, a victim of bullying, or worse. Then there are those who say it's older than that the forest itself is cursed, that long before the British built their schools, this land was considered haunted by the Lepcha tribes, who believed the hills were alive with spirits called Rumalut, wanderers trapped between realms. Perhaps the boy is one of them now, a forgotten soul, looking for what was taken from him. So if you ever find yourself in the hills of Darjeeling and the mist starts to roll in, stay on the main road, don't take the forest path. And if you hear a child's laughter echoing through the trees, don't answer it. Because if you see a boy in school uniform walking just ahead of you, don't try to help, don't get closer. And whatever you do, don't look for his face, because he doesn't have one. And the moment you look, he'll follow you home.